Alright, I just came back from a quick League Cup. I say quick, it wasn't. Um, I finished 11th place at 3 and 2, so I unfortunately did bubble out on Resistance, playing and Zoroark. And when I say this was some of the most fun I've had playing Pokemon recently, I mean it. Like, Ascended Heroes format with this deck felt a lot better than Phantasmal Flames. I played Goldengo for that format, and it was fun, but I kind of prefer Zoroark already. So, going into the 60 that I played is not not a conventional 60 from what you would think. So we start with the typical 4 and Zorua and 4 ends Zoroark. Typical your draw engine, trade, discard 1, draw 2. It's one of the best abilities ever printed, so it just being able to have 4 of them, you're typically going to have 3 on the field, so you're going to trade a 1-1 line away most of the time, but that's fine. As long as you can get 3 set up, you're pretty good most of the time. So we have the 4 Zoroarks. We have a 2-2 Darmanitan line. This was probably the MVP of the event, because just Flame Body Cannon is such a devastating attack. 90 damage to your opponent's active, and 90 damage to one of their benched when not many decks are playing Shaman right now. So Flame Body Cannon can be really strong. And Backdraft is nothing to scoff at as well. 30 damage for each basic energy in your opponent's discard. You can knock out a Latias EX if your opponent only has 1 energy in their discard. And you'll see how. So we have 2 of those. For the other attackers, we have 1 Reshiram and 1 Zekrom. Yes, this is the full art from the ETB. No, I'm not apologizing for it. Reshiram has been in the deck since the beginning, doing 20 damage for each damage counter on either Reshiram or, most cases, Zoroark. And then the other attack that you typically use is Virtuous Flame for 170. I used this more than I expected to. I thought I was just going to be attacking with Zekrom, but no, I did have Reshiram in play a lot of the time. And then with Zekrom, you have 70 damage, and it does Shred, which is prevent all, or not prevent, you go through all effects on the defending Pokemon. So if they have like a Cornerstone Mask, or just a Crustle, you can just shred the Zekrom, and it hits them. The main draw of this is Rampaging Thunder, which does 250 damage and can attack. But that Rampaging Thunder makes the deck a lot more accessible, honestly, which I like. A few other support Pokemon we have 1 copy of Monkey Dory. Adrenabrain is just too strong, and Budew just to help stall some time and get set up while your opponent can't play items. That did help me a lot today, which was really, really nice. And then the typical support Pokemon, you have 1 copy of Fazandipity, and for any dark deck, you have 1 copy of Pecharunt. Fazandipity drawing 3 cards on a knockout, invaluable resource, and Pecharunt being able to pivot out your Zoroarks, especially with Zekrom, is really helpful right now. So that's always helpful in this deck. So that's all the Pokemon. On to the items. We have 4 copies of Buddy Puffin. This searches out your main engine. This searches your Budew. This searches your Zorua. The only issue with Buddy Puffin is that it does not search out Darmanitan. But you still want to play 4 because you want to get 3 Zorua out as soon as possible. So drawing at least 1, maybe 2, is helpful early game as soon as possible. A interesting change compared to the Phantasmal Flames format is that there's 3 ends PP up. Typically, you would have seen like 1 or 2 copies before Ascended, but because you can go aggressive with Zekrom and Darmanitan, playing 3 ends PP up just to keep replenishing the energy is really helpful. We have 2 copies of Countercatcher. Before this tournament, I had 1 Countercatcher and 3 Boss, but I kind of like the 2-2 split more because you are going behind in the game a decent amount. So the 2 Countercatchers is really helpful, especially if you give up the first prize, and then you can just counter catcher for 2, boss for 2, and then go from there. 2 copies of Night Stretcher. This could change to 1 Night Stretcher, 1 Super Rod, because I know a decent amount of decks are playing Toad Scroll. Mega Absol is playing it. Some Zoroark lists are playing it, apparently. So, yeah, maybe switching this to a Super Rod could be helpful, because if it's only a Night Stretcher and your Zekrom gets discarded, you could be in a decent amount of trouble. So consider that. For other search, we have Pokepad, one of the best ball cards ever printed recently. Just search for a non-Roblox Pokemon. We have Zekrom, we have Reshiram, we have Badu, we have Monkey Dory, we have the Darmanitan line, and we also have another search for Zoroark. You are searching out an effective 6 different Pokemon, or 7 different Pokemon, with this one Pokepad. I could see bringing this up to a 2 count, but for now, I think 1 is fine. 1 copy of Ultra Ball. It's just search for your evolution, and another out for your Zoroarks. We also have 1 copy of Palpad. You will see why this is actually really important when I get to the supporter line. And for the A-Spec, we play Secret Box, because there is, in this build at least, there were 3 different stadiums, so searching them out with Secret Box is nice. Your tool card of choice is really important, and also just being able to Secret Box for a Pokepad, or an Ends PP up, or a counter catcher. Just the flexibility of Secret Box cannot be understated. For supporters, we have 4 copies of Lily. Shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 6 cards, but if you have 6 prizes, you will draw 8 instead. There were a decent amount of games where I had 6 prizes for most of the game, because I didn't start taking prizes until like turn 4 or 5. And honestly, that still felt really good. The only time I really had to like take prizes really quickly was against Golden Go, but it's Golden Go. What do you expect? 2 copies of boss. Like I said, I originally had 3 boss and 1 counter catcher, but after today, I do kind of prefer the 2 boss. You have the Palpad anyway, so you don't really care. The only issue could be if you do go aggressive and go far ahead, you would like the 3 boss, because then you're less likely to use counter catcher. But if you're expecting to fall behind, like most Zoroark decks should, the 2 boss, 2 counter catcher should be fine. But that is like a flex spot that I could see people arguing. 2 Iono, this feels fine. Each player shuffles their hand into the bottom of their deck, and then draw a card for each of their remaining prizes. One of the best hand disruptions ever printed, and especially with Zoroark, you don't really feel the effects of it that much. Now, here's where one of the changes from standard lists come in. I play 2 copies of Serrano. I don't play TM Evolution. I think Serrano is better, because most of the time you are getting your Zoroarks out, or not Zoroarks, you're getting your Zoroas out right away turn 1. So, turn 2, you are going to be able to just search out 2 to 3 Zoroarks, and then also search out your Pecharunt to enable something else in the deck. So for that, I think Serrano is a really good addition. For one of supporters, I have 1 copy of Professor Turo. Just being able to pick up a Pokemon is never a bad thing, especially if you pick up a damaged Zoroark, if you have another one set up, which you likely will. But you also just have picking up like a Fezandipity or a Pecharunt if you think they're in danger. 1 copy of Black Belt's Training. This brings up mostly for Zekrom. You bring up your 250. This is now 290. That doesn't seem like a lot, but there's something else in here that will help that out. It also helps out with Darmanitan, with Flame Body Cannon, especially with being copied by Zoroark. This brings it up to 130, which is 260 with weakness. That is not enough to knock out a Gardevoir, but again, there's ways to buff that even further. You can also Darmanitan a Latios with Black Belt in the Dragapult matchup to take 3 prizes in a turn, and make them stuck a little bit, with making their Dusknoirs a bit awkward. Now, this is a bit of a controversial pick, I think, Not many lists are playing this, but I chose to, and I don't think I would cut this card after today. One copy of Cypher Maniac. Search your deck for 2 cards and just put them on the top of your deck. You Cypher Maniac whenever you are just missing like a few pieces, say you're behind in prizes, it's like 2 to 1. You can just Cypher Maniac for a counter catcher and whatever you're missing and just go from there. Or if both players are being a bit slow, you can Cypher Maniac and just guarantee that you're drawing into what you need. Most of the time when I played this, I played this to get a game-winning combination. I also played this versus Gardevoir when both of us were playing a bit slow, so I was able to Cypher Maniac into 2 Zoroarks just to get into the game. But one of the best combinations that I should have done when I did Cypher for 2 Zoroarks is Cypher for 1 Zoroark and a Lily, because then you draw the Zoroark for turn, trade into the Lily, refresh your hand to 8. That is the supporter lineup. These 3 in particular are why the Palpad is so good, because refreshing Black Belt is really important. Sometimes you want to hit a lot of numbers, just refreshing a Pokemon in general to retreat. Also, just Palpadding and boss. If we didn't have Palpad, I would definitely go with the 3 bosses orders. Because the gust effect is way too strong. And honestly, same with Iono. If we didn't have Palpad, 3 Iono would probably feel better. On to the tools and stadiums. For tools, we have 2 copies of Binding Mochi. A lot of lists play 1. I would suggest playing the 2. Simply because not many lists are expecting the second one, honestly. They are mostly expecting the single copy. So whenever they knock out the Mochi, they're just thinking, oh, they need Black Belt to knock me out. No, playing 2 Mochi is actually probably more ideal. And then, as I was saying, there's more ways to buff up damage. So, ends Darmanitan, 90 damage, 130, and then you have Black Belt's Training, bring that up to 170. That knocks out Gardevoir. So, against Gardevoir, you can go ends Darmanitan, copied with Zoroark, Black Belt's Training, Binding Mochi, knock out the active Gardevoir and whatever they were attacking with, and make them struggle to rebuild slightly. The only issue is you are not disrupting them with Iono, so keep that in mind. There is also versus like Dragapult, you Kyurem, or not Kyurem, you Zekrom for 250, 290, and then this brings you up to 330. So Binding Mochi plus Black Belt, the 80 damage buff is really important for this deck. As for stadiums, this is where one change after today would come in. I was playing one Team Rocket's Watchtower, which did come in play during my Charizard matchup, 1 copy of Venn's Castle, and 1 copy of Artisan. I would switch this Artisan for a second castle. I unfortunately locked myself out of Top Cut because I misplayed versus Mewtwo Spidops, and I did not have a way to retreat after they bumped my lone castle. I also did not have a way to get Pecharunt in play because my bench was full. So I would definitely prefer Second End's Castle. I did not use Artisan at all today, so that is something to keep in mind. Anyways, on to the energy. 3, 6, and then this caught some people off guard. 7 dark energy. For some reason, I think a lot of people are expecting 6 dark, but I think 7 is a fine amount of dark, especially with like the PP up, and also just you want to get them into the discard as soon as possible, so you want to find them as soon as possible. And then, as I was saying, most of the time, you're going behind in the game, at least by 1 prize. 2 copies of Reversal Energy. This allows you to attack with Darmanitan, with Flame Body Cannon, into matchups like Golden Gun. You can Darmanitan with Black Belt, and I believe that does, yeah, Black Belt with Darmanitan does 130, so this knocks out a Golden Go, as well as a benched Gimmighoul, so it can be pretty devastating if you time it right. So, that is the deck. Like I said, I've really been enjoying playing Zoroark this format. The Zekrom makes it a lot more accessible than it was previously, and I think there's just a standard build going forward, likely, and you don't really need to adjust it for for every single event like people have been doing. I do want to quickly go over the matchups that I had because wow, this League Cup was stacked today. Um, Round one, I faced against Gardevoir. That was a pretty easy matchup. You just try and target down their Gardevoirs and also their attacker at the same time so that they just can't recover from that. They did have a blunder, unfortunately, where they had a Mega Diancie with no energy. So I targeted down their lone Gardevoir and just won from there because they didn't have any energy in play. Uh, Round two, I will come back to because that was important. Round three, I played against Golden Go, and Badu actually won me the game because I went second and poked into their Gimme Ghoul, bringing it down to 250, which meant that putting 10 damage onto their Gimme Ghoul, which meant that when they evolved into Goldengo, I just go Zoroark, copy Zekrom, and just keep spamming Zekrom with Mochi or Black Belt and take 2-2-2 and win the game that way. Round four was a bit of a blunder for me. I had a game against Mewtwo Spite Ops because I was able to throw off their prize trade with Darmanitan. I was playing the game perfectly. Unfortunately, I had Pheasantipity benched when in reality it should have been a Pecharunt because I wanted to draw more cards when I should have just played it safe and benched the Pecharunt so that I didn't get bench locked. But that's on me. I figured that mistake out immediately after the game. And then round five, I had Charizard Noctowl. Both of us were kind of dead drawing, so I was able to get a turn to use Cypher Maniac to grab more Zoroarks. This is where that play came in. I also was able to Watchtower lock them for a few turns, but they had some sob shenanigans because they were playing the Wellspring Mask in their deck. So my Pheasantipity was locked in the active because I unfortunately started it. But Turo picked it right up, and I was just able to take enough prizes from there. Now, round two. This was another Gardevoir. However, this League Cup featured three notable players. Rowan Stavenow, Raymond Long, and my round two opponent, Riley McKay, the 2025 World Champion. And this matchup came down to the last two prizes, and unfortunately I lost it because my final Night Stretcher was priced. I was able to get a winning board state of them not using Item Lock. All of my energies were gone, so I needed exactly Ends PP up, Night Stretcher to knock out their Pheasantipity for game because it was in the active. I had I had to backdraft their Pheasantipity, but they were able to play around that because they just accelerated the energy to keep themselves out of KO range. But unfortunately, when I went to check my prizes, I was able to draw my whole deck. But unfortunately, when I played the Pokepad in my hand to make sure all the cards were in there, I discovered, unfortunately, that my last Night Stretcher was prized, and I was unable to take the game-winning knockout, just losing the game right on the spot. Honestly, for getting a game that close to a world champion, and especially with how kind of abysmal my start was for that game, I'll gladly take a loss getting myself down to 2 prize cards and having it come down to a loss of prize. Knowing that I would have won had one of those prize cards been different. Anyways, that is everything for the Zoroark deck. Like I said, I've been enjoying this deck. I'm probably going to be playing this for the Ascended format, at least until rotation, because this loses a decent amount. Even then, I might try and make this work because this has actually been really fun. But yeah, quick deck profile, quick tournament report as well. If people enjoy the tournament report, then I will gladly do more. Just because I like to show off the decks that I've been playing, honestly, and just sharing this game that I love. So anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Like I said, I might do more of these, might not, but we shall go ahead and see. But for now, I hope everyone enjoyed this quick little deck profile and tournament run through, and yeah, hopefully I can get out more videos. I do plan on doing another deck profile for a post-rotation deck. If you are in my Discord, you will have seen potentially what that deck is. But for now, I will leave you there. And I hope that everyone enjoyed the video and have a good rest of your day, night, or whatever. I will see you in the next video.